Hey, what's up, everyone? Thank you so much for joining us. Today is episode number 1 of Highlighting the Best of Youth Sports, brought to you by Numbers Don't Lie Productions. Here we go. Welcome to Highlighting the Best of Youth Sports, where we bring you insights from top athletes, their sports journey, and those positively impacting the youth sports community. If you're ready like we are, let's go! Today is episode number 1 of our new show, Highlighting the Best of Youth Sports. We have a great first show lined up with one of our good friends and a super talented sports action photographer, David Melendez of Designs by DM. We cover a ton of content in this first episode, including how many of the action shots David is capturing are getting shown on the social media pages of multi-million-dollar companies like Shock Doctor and Cutter Sports. We touched on other hot youth sports topics as well, like athletes holding back a grade level to be better prepared entering high school, parenting through the recruitment process, and much more. Real quick before we get into the interview with David, this being our first episode, we wanted to let you know a little bit more about Numbers Don't Lie. We create youth sports highlights and skills videos that we produce with content that you provide. We pride ourselves on highlighting the best of youth sports. So much so that phrase is the title of the show you're listening to right now. We've had the honor of featuring hundreds of athletes in more than 35 U.S. states and over 15 countries. And now we're excited to bring this new platform to these same athletes. This is our first show and we hope to get better each and every episode, but we need your help in doing that. We need to hear from you. What do you want to hear? Who do you want to hear from on this show? It would mean the world to us if you subscribed, commented, and liked this show on whatever platform you're listening to, whether it's a podcast, on YouTube, or wherever you're consuming this content. Please also share with just one other person today and tag us on social media at Numbers Don't Lie with the number 1 in the middle of lie. Again, that's at Numbers Don't L1E across all social media platforms. Send us a message and let us know how we can make this show valuable. Now let's jump into the interview with David. This is David Melendez, one of our partners. He's with Designs by DM, professional photographer, freelance photographer. He does videography. He does a little bit of everything right now. And so we're going to brainstorm some ideas for the future of the podcast and also get to know a little bit more about David, what he's seeing out there, because he's very active. He's getting his stuff is getting seen by a lot of athletes, but athletes and coaches and different organizations and companies are getting to notice Designs by DM, and it's really exciting out there. So with that, we're going to get started, and I want to introduce David. And why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself, what you do, and Designs by DM?
Well, basically, you explained it perfect. I'm out there in the trenches, getting pictures, getting video, getting all the content of these kids, you know. And like you said, right now with Instagram and everything, it's big right now, and they are getting noticed by a lot of big companies. You know, there's a lot of things going on in the football industry, and you know, with Instagram, that's the way it's going. You know, for these kids, you know, with obviously we talked about the Fair Pay to Play Act. That's going to be huge. So, you know, I'm just noticing out there so many kids wanting pictures and wanting videos, and most of the parents run their sites. So, but still, I mean, you kind of have to have a presence out there right now, and that's basically what I'm noticing. And that's pretty much what we do is we're out there taking pictures, making stuff for people's Instagrams, you know, just out in the trenches, just getting the good stuff, you know?
Yeah. And we've worked together a long time. Just for everyone that doesn't know, me and David, we go back probably 6-7 years. Our kids played sports together, baseball, football, and we both started dabbling kind of on the side. Numbers Don't Lie with videos, and David starting with photography. So that's a little bit of our background and how we got to know each other. And then we've been working together kind of side by side, doing our own things, but then collaborating on a lot of things. So Dave, one of the things you're doing is photography. You're doing video as well, but with photography,
your stuff it's some of the best that I've ever seen. I mean, and we've talked about this. I think you're going to be picked up by someone big. I'm talking Sports Illustrated, one of these bigger productions, and that's how good your stuff is, and it's being seen out there. But just to let everyone know a little bit more about Designs by DM, where they may not know it, but why don't you tell the audience where some of your photos have been seen? What are some of the bigger companies that are using your photos that you've worked for that are picking up your stuff? So people kind of have an idea of, they may see a photo and have no idea that it's you. I tend to know that it's you, and the people that are following you more and more tend to know that it's you by the quality of the shots. But why don't you let everyone know where you're being picked up at right now?
Well, first of all, I appreciate that, PJ. But yeah, mainly through Instagram, there's a lot of people using my pictures. I mean, without even asking me, but I mean, which is okay, cool. Get the kids their pictures out there and stuff. But a lot of companies like Shock Doctor, a lot of people don't know about Shock Doctor. They're huge. You know what I mean? They're constantly, if I get a kid with the Shock Doctor mouthpiece or some kind of gear from Cutter Sports is another one, you know what I mean? I'm always tagging, putting them out there, trying to get their name out there, because I think that's the biggest thing. You know what I mean? So I do a lot of work for, you know, I did a lot of work for them for a while. And then Real Speed is another one. They're a good a sports program. They're training and doing a lot of big stuff, and that's a whole nother podcast we're going to talk about soon with Cam. But yeah, so there's a lot of companies out there on Instagram using my stuff. A lot of big names, you know, retweeting and rehashtagging and stuff like that, which is cool for the kids. You know, that's basically I know that's what you're trying to get, and that's what I'm trying to do. Is basically we're trying to get these kids' names out there. You know what I mean? Make them big. You know.
Right. And just it's real big, just trying to get them noticed. And we use that word a lot, you know, get noticed, with Numbers Don't Lie, Designs by DM. What is one of the, or let me change this up. How does someone utilize your services? So if you're going out there right now, are you just showing up to sites and shooting, or do coaches have you come out? Individual players have you come out? How are you capturing your shots? How are people booking you for your game shots that you do?
Yeah. So I basically have, like, when I started, it was just me going out there, getting shots, trying to get known, doing a lot of free work, and just trying to get my face out there was the main thing. Because you know, it's kind of hard to just get in with people. You know, you can't just show up. And so as it went on, I kind of got in good with a lot of the teams and stuff. But basically, I had kids hiring me out, and then I had teams hiring me out. So now it's just word of mouth. Like, so even when I'm out there, like if I get a kid that hires me out, I go out there. Like, for example, this weekend, I go out there and another parent sees me and is like, hey, so what's up? Yeah, I can take pictures of your kid. I'm here. I'll do that. You know what I mean? But basically right now it's word of mouth with Instagram and everything. You know, it kind of blew up big in the last year. So we're trying to get it all together and get the website going and everything. But as of now, it's just word of mouth, and it's just me being out there. And then a lot of times I will be taking pictures for a kid, and I'll get a great shot of the kid from the other team. So usually what I'll do is I'll use that as my advertisement. I'll try and find out who that kid is. I'll tag him. I'll put a picture out there. And usually when I'm at a game, I'm going to take pictures of everybody at that game. So I'm going to have a lot of good shots. And that's how I kind of make my money, is I get good shots out there, and then people see that and they, hey, do you have pictures of my kid? Number so-and-so, 21, 22. Yeah, I got that. So that's basically what we do. And then we do a lot of editing too, as you see on our website. We do a lot of like photo magazine covers, posters, a lot of just crazy edits, like, you know, the lightning edits that you were selling on your website for a while. A lot of editing.
Yeah, so I want to talk about that a little bit, and I'm going to share something with you right now and see how this works as we're testing out this new system. I'm going to try to share the screen. And
work your magic. Let's see it.
Here we go. Can you see it?
Oh yeah, I see it. There it is.
All right. So this is one of your the magazine covers, right? That you guys do?
Yes.
So this is what I wanted to talk about. So these aren't typically your shots, right? These are shots that the athlete or the parent or the coach is sending to you, and then you edit it, correct? You can do both. You can do both.
It's 50-50.
Okay.
A lot of the ones I do are me taking these shots because that's what I love doing. but I do get people who send shots in. You know what I mean? If you have a really good shot that you want to use, or 2 or 3 shots, then yes, of course, that's even easier for us. You know what I mean? When you send your shots in, we could do that in no time. You know?
Right. So that's perfect, and that's awesome. And we know that when you shoot the shot, it's pretty much legit. It's a professional photograph. For anyone out there, kids, players, parents, do you have any tips for them, best practices of how to capture their photograph that would work best for a magazine cover type edit like this? Like, what do you recommend they do when they're shooting all their photographs?
Well, you know what? Most of these teams, they have a team, like a team mom or somebody that takes their photographs, which is perfect. You know what I mean? But a lot of these shots, all 3 of these shots are all action shots that I took, which is kind of hard. You know what I mean? You have to have somebody out there taking that type of picture. But I do tell people, you can do a cell phone picture. There's like scroll back down, the picture of Chris right there. That's a cell phone picture. You know what I mean? A lot of times you can use cell phone pictures up close. You're not going to get a good action shot, but for a sports photo cover, a cell phone picture is perfect. Like number 21 right there. You can do that picture with a cell phone all day long. That, you know, because he's not moving. So I tell people, you know, if you want to take a picture of your kid with a cell phone, I'm going to cut the background out anyway. I'll show you another example. If you scroll up, I think there's the twins. There should be a cover with the twins on it. Or maybe, you know what? I didn't put that on there. My bad.
Here's one. No. Let's see. Here's a couple.
Yeah. So like number 2, Pep. That's an easy cell phone picture. I know there's a lot of people out there taking these pictures with a new iPhone, and everybody has a new iPhone. So I mean, the iPhones are great. Like, I mean, honestly, you can take just as good a picture with an iPhone as you can with a professional camera if they're standing still. The advantage I have is when kids start moving and you're in action, of course, you're not going to do that with an iPhone. But for these covers and stuff like that, iPhone all day long. And then you just email me the picture, you know what I mean? And simple as that. We cut it out. We kind of hook it up a little bit, add some color to it, and we go from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we've done the impact edits, the fire edits, and you do an amazing job, whether it's your photos or someone else's. But I wanted to, I appreciate everything you explained there, because that's what I want to try to get out to other people taking photos, and how they could get those to you. So if someone wanted to do one of these edits with you, how you mentioned email. Is that the best way right now? Do direct messaging through Instagram? I know you've got a lot of different ways people are contacting you. What are some different ways that they can contact you to do some of these edits, and how do you work out payments with them? Those type of things, being a freelance photographer.
So obviously right now, just through Instagram. You know, I think we try to do a lot of WeTransfer and
Mm-hmm.
Dropbox is the best. You know, when I get somebody to use Dropbox, to me, it's the easiest thing. But I do still find people kind of having problems with learning it and trying to figure out how to use it. So when that happens, I always go to email. I just say, look, just email me the picture. I'll take it from there, and then I'll email it back to you. Instagram DMs is a no-go. I mean, you could send me your picture, and then I can send you like a preview picture back, but it basically kills it. The DM kills it. And I don't think a lot of people know that. So like when I'm giving people pictures, say I give them a Dropbox, they'll screenshot it and they'll put it on their page, and I'm like, hey, did you screenshot that or did you export it to your phone? Oh, I screenshotted it. So I'm still having that kind of problem with people. Not with people, but you know, you got to learn the way to do it to get those pictures out there really, really clear. And I'm a big, you know, person on perfection, getting that
right.
I can tell when somebody screenshots my shot or somebody uses it that I didn't give it to, or you know what I mean. I could tell right away, and that's my biggest thing. You know what I mean. I don't mind people using my photos. I hate when I see my photos that were so good and then they get screenshotted 3 times, and I'm like, ugh, that makes me look bad.
Right. And everything you're explaining, that's a big pain point for my customers as well. And a bigger point, actually, when we're doing more video stuff, is trying to figure out that key piece of how do we and you know, for 3 years, I've been trying to figure out how do we systematize it, make it easy. We went through the whole thing of, you know, creating a website, thinking that was going to be the piece. But so yeah, I completely get that with Dropbox, WeTransfer, and we'll put some of these in the show notes. When we start doing show notes for these, we'll put different resources people use. We're using WeTransfer, and it's getting better and better. And we definitely tell people they can always email as well, but with videos, we tell them keep it as short as possible and one at a time, because a lot of times if they're trying to do multiple videos, it won't go through. It may say it went through, but it for whatever reason, what platform they're on, it won't go through. So that's definitely something we're constantly trying to fix. And in the long run, hopefully we'll have a great system for that. And I know you guys do the same thing with photos. So I want to transition a little bit over to just social media in general. And you mentioned that, and that's a big part of your marketing, and you're actually running your business through different social media platforms. And we've done similar things. We've been on similar paths. We go different ways. But I just noticed, and I've been on you for a little bit, to get on Twitter, and you're on Twitter now. So I saw you over there on Twitter, and I just saw something on your bio that just captured everything perfectly. Because if you go through your bio on Instagram, Facebook, it's all different. But this one, it just said, "I'm here to capture it all on camera," and that kind of just pinpoints what you do. Photos, videos, everything. You're doing a great job. And like I said, you're the best in the business, and I'm honored that we're able to work together. I'm proud that we've been friends for a long time, and we're completely opposite sides of the world. We're like yin and yang. I'm straightforward, nerdy guy, and you're the cool guy. And without the photo, you're out with all the guys. But it's
I like to think that.
Yeah. It's really cool because we both have a huge passion for sports, and our kids, coming up in youth sports. And so I want to talk just a little bit about this podcast and where we're going, and what do you think, how we both, because I want to have you on this podcast as much as possible. We're going to figure it out, whether we do co-hosting some things sometimes, or you host. We're going to figure it out, but I'm going to have you on. You're going to be a regular guest for sure. What are some things that, like I mentioned at the beginning, we want to bring value to people that are listening to this podcast by bringing them insights from the athletes themselves that are participating in everything, from their parents. Parenting a kid in youth sports isn't easy either. I mean, you got the balance of competitiveness, of developing the kid, letting them be a kid, all those things. But I also want to bring insights from people that are making a positive contribution, like you guys. Numbers Don't Lie is trying to make a positive contribution, and the name of this podcast is highlighting the best of youth sports. That's what it is. Not only just the best as far as talent athlete, but what's going on good in youth sports. So with that, what do you think? What are some things that we can bring through this podcast? How can we bring value to our audiences, both yours and Numbers Don't Lie?
What? I think we're bringing a lot of value just by talking about things. You know what I mean? Because especially for the parents, there's a lot of things out there going on that the average parent doesn't know, and I didn't know until I got out into the real world and started taking pictures and started seeing different athletes. You know what I mean? Every athlete is different. There's a different road for every athlete. And that's
absolutely
what I'm seeing right now is, and you said it right now, is, I think some athletes are more talented than other athletes, but there's still a road for each athlete, and there's still a spot for every athlete. And that's what I'm trying to figure out for a lot of these athletes who aren't super, super talented. Because, you look out there and you got the D-Flash out there with 140,000 followers, and he's just ripped, and he's huge, and he trains. That's awesome, but not everybody can be that. So
right.
I'm trying to help those other kids out too, along with helping D-Flash if I can at any point. But I'm trying to get the little guys up here and understand that it's you don't have to be that. There's 11 kids on that field, or if it's football, you know what I mean. And every sport's different. So I'm just trying to get them all on the same level, with pictures. And to me, with the new act, the Fair Pay to Play Act, that's going to be good for, I notice there's a lot of kids out there, I'm just going to say, you got the smaller kid on the team. He's 5'2". The rest of the kids are 6'3", 200 pounds.
Right.
But he can still have 100,000 followers, and he can still get paid off of his likeness. That's the big thing that's going to work for these kids. And that's where Instagram and all the social media comes in. So that's what we're trying to do is build your social media and be ready for this when this happens. It's 3 years down the line, but be ready for this kind of stuff, you know?
Right, absolutely. And I think that's one of the big things we've noticed, and that now we've really focused on what we're doing. When we're highlighting the best of youth sports, is everyone's got an opportunity to be part of this program, be part of Numbers Don't Lie, to get featured. And the good thing about it is we have kids being featured, like you said. We have D Flash. I've got Peyton Kemp, Peyton Woodyard as ambassadors, and these kids have thousands and thousands of Instagram followers, but yet every Friday I'm featuring kids as well that are maybe don't have any followers, but they were just trying to reach out. And they're able to get featured on Feature Friday. And man, the gratefulness, the appreciation from the parents and the kids is just amazing. And when you go,
that's the best feeling to me.
Yeah.
Just the other day, I always take pictures, so I know that I kind of have a relationship with Shock Doctor. I've done work for them before, so I know that whenever I get a picture of a kid with a cool Shock Doctor mouthpiece or some kind of cutter, I always tag Shock Doctor. And it's been a couple of times now that they've shouted one of the kids out, and the kid will just send me a message like, "Dude, I'm famous. This is awesome." And I'm like, "That's great. You know, that's what we're here for. You know, get your picture out there. You know what I mean? Get your 5 minutes of fame. You know, that's what it's about. You know what I mean? It's just want these kids to have fun and grow up. You know what I mean?"
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty amazing to see. And the Fair to Play Act, that's definitely going to be interesting to go back to that a little bit, because from what I understand, mostly at this point, it's looking at college athletes.
It's all college athletes.
And college athletes, at that point, you're an adult as well. So I definitely agree to that. It's going to get very tricky, though, because this is going to trickle down to youth and navigating that. And I think there's already laws in place too, and that's where my nerdiness comes in to navigate and having waivers and liability and different things like that. But there's famous actors as well, and I know that there's laws as far as their bank accounts. They can do it, but there's rules and laws, so it's going to be a tricky situation. And we also want to be aware and make sure that the 7-year-old phenom keeps doing his thing on social media, but doesn't really think he's going to be able to do a lot of the things that some of these bigger athletes, they got to build up to that as well. And I think that's what we're here for, is to kind of just help, I guess, kickstart that for them, especially the ones that don't have that following and want to know how to get started. And we can give them that platform, I think, to start out and getting there, to get to that point. So by the time they do get to college, then maybe they have that following that they can monetize it by then.
Yeah. Well, it's 3 years till it goes through, and obviously the NCAA is going to do a lot of rework to that, trying to figure out what they're doing. You know what I mean? So there's going to be, by the time it gets here, there's going to be some different rules to it and stuff, I'm sure. But I think it's a step in the right direction as far as getting these kids. I mean, they're going to college. They're on the football field or whatever sport you're in half the time. I mean, it's a lot of work. And I know you get a free education out of it, but I mean, you still got to provide for yourself. You know what I mean? It's tough. So I think it's a step in the right direction, but we'll see where it goes. I think you need to be prepared. That's my thing, is
right.
Be prepared, because kids that are in the 7th, 8th, 9th grade right now, it's going to kick in when they go to college. So, and you don't necessarily have to be the best athlete. That's my thing, is it's your your likeness. So
exactly.
I've seen it. I've seen kids who, it's crazy. I've seen kids who play 5 plays a game, but I'm like, dude, he's got 60,000 followers. He's a good kid. People like him. It's not all about football. It's about him as a person. You know what I mean? His attitude.
Exactly.
So that's what I like to see, is those kids.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I completely agree with you. It's good to see those kids, and we're proud to have many of those kids so far as ambassadors. And we just started the ambassador program. And what for our ambassadors is, we go into 2020, and what we've done this year with the ambassadors is we just kind of threw it together, but it works. We're highlighting them, and what can we change and add to them, do you think, as we head into 2020? Because we're gonna open up the applications again at the beginning of next year, end of this year. We're hoping to have many of the current ambassadors back, but we're going to open up to a few more. What do you think we can add for those ambassadors next year that we can give to them from Numbers Don't Lie?
You know what? I don't really know your system too good on exactly what you're doing, but I mean, just by looking at it now, I love what you're doing. I mean, I I see the work every day that you do. So I'm like, man, you put in a lot of work. I mean, it's amazing. I put in a lot of work, but then when I see you, I'm like, man, this guy's just going when I'm sleeping. I don't know what he's doing. But so there's a lot of stuff that you do for them. But I mean, I don't know. It's something you got to brainstorm, and maybe that's something we ask, the audience, your
right.
Your people is what do you guys need from us, from you, from me? You know what I mean? As an ambassador, what would you want? Like gear, better gear, maybe we've talked about this.
Yep.
The Numbers Don't Lie mouthpieces and something to set yourself apart as an ambassador to Numbers Don't Lie. And that's something that my son has done recently with the visor, and he loves it. You know what I mean? So certain things like that. I think they want to
something like this.
Something like that, right?
Yeah.
That's the one. You know what I mean? And kids love that stuff. I mean, the visors are huge right now. And you know what's funny is a lot of these leagues don't even let you play with that visor, but they love it to warm up, to practice with, to feel good, and just represent. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's where our partnership's going to come in, because I don't know any. We've talked about this. I'm real big about staying exactly in my lane. And to me, I see this. I'm like, okay, how do we mass produce it and why, what? But you're like, no, we're going to do one. We're going to get a picture out there. And that's what we need to do. So I absolutely, I agree with that. The other thing we're looking at doing is really morphing the subscriber. We have the NDL Nation Athlete. That's our paid subscriber, but it's very similar to the ambassador. And so we got some systems in place for both of them, but I do want to bring them a little more value as far as, every once in a while, send them out some of our new swag, just t-shirts, different things like that. Like you, I'm a perfectionist, but I need to get that out of my mind and just kind of get stuff out to them more. And I'm wanting to do that next year. So no, those are some great ideas, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think it's all about the swag right now. I mean, that's the biggest thing I see out there right now is the swag. I mean, everybody's got towels and visors, and it's crazy. It's almost like WWF, but it's fun. You know what I mean? It's what the kids want. You know what I mean? They're having fun, and so that's what I want to see. I want to see them having fun, and it's good for me. You get the good pictures, the swag, the drip, whatever they call it.
Yeah,
it's awesome. You know what I mean? Everything's dripping these days.
Yeah,
that's weird, but
yeah. So that's a good transition. Let's transition over to the personal side. So we're talking about going back on trends and everything. So I want to just step back a little bit, and I want to talk to you a little bit more on the personal side. You being a parent of youth athletes, and I know two of your kids really well. The youngest two it's too early, but Mariah and Chris, great athletes.
Never too early. Never too early.
Yeah. They're both really great athletes. Mariah just committed to San Diego State, right?
UC San Diego.
San Diego. Okay. So Mariah committed to UC San Diego. Chris's team is now 10-0 or 9-0.
They're 9-0 heading into the championships next Sunday.
9-0 heading into the championship next Sunday. My son PJ and Chris played a lot of years together, football and baseball. So one of the topics we're going to get into, not a lot today, but we want to get is the holdback, and that's the repeating 8th grade or right around junior high. And I think you guys made the decision this year that Chris is. And if you don't want this in the podcast, let me know. But I want to bring it out there that Chris's 8th grade, and he transferred over to. What's going to be another topic is a sports academy school. So it really focuses on athletics equally side by side with the academics. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about that decision making for you guys and where you're at with that with Chris. So now he's class of 2024, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So take us behind that decision making for you guys.
I guess that's another one of those things where I say we are helping out the parents and the athletes by putting this out there, because it was something I didn't know till about a year ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when I dug in and figured out what's going on, what is the holdback? Basically kids repeating 8th grade. For the most part, we did it because Chris was a little undersized. He was going to graduate at 17, a little early for somebody to be graduating. And secondly, he plays football. So, you know what I mean? It was everything together, get a couple more inches on you. get a little more mature. Graduating at 17, I think about it and I'm like, man, that's crazy. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe it's not that bad, but I kind of want him to be equal level with a lot of these kids. So that was something that I gave him the opportunity to do. And I told him, it's up to you. You don't have to do this, but it is an option. If football is your passion and that's what you want to do and you want every edge you can get, so be it. Go ahead. And he took it and ran with it. He wanted to do it. And that was one of the decisions that I said, okay, that's on you. I would never do that as a kid. You weren't going to get me to do it. But hey, he has a passion that I don't have. And I love that about him. So we did make that decision and we decided, there are those sports academies. There was a couple around here that we looked at, and obviously, some of them are super, super great. I mean, they're like colleges. I mean, you got Winter Circle out in Corona, and you got Real Speed. But, we went with LaceFax because they're close to us, and I liked what they were doing. We put Chris in their summer school program and worked out with them, and they do a real good job. So that's basically where we're at right now. And man, I'm seeing results from him. I mean, he's just become a different person as far as his, they work out every day. I mean, every day. There's 400 push-ups. They're running 2-3 miles. They're going to the bleachers and doing bleachers. It's just an amazing thing, So if you're that person and you're on that level, maybe that's something you look into. And, there's a lot of kids doing it. And we won't even talk about the double holdback. I think that's crazy, but whatever. That's a whole nother topic again. Right. But it is out there. I mean, so if you are a sports person, I mean, let's just say for football, it happens in baseball too, but in football, I mean, you can't really compete no more as a normal athlete just trying out for the football team in the 9th grade. You know what I mean? Back in our days, we went and got some cleats and we tried out for the team and everybody made it. And it's just not like that no more. And right. I know parents don't want to hear that, but that's the way it is,
No, and I appreciate that so much. And PJ, my son, so kind of on the same topic. So going from pre-kindergarten to kindergarten. So this is where our decision was made. So PJ and Chris are the same age, but PJ was already in 8th grade. He going into his senior year, he was going to be 18. So he's going to be that kid that's older, more mature. So, going through high school, he was already there. But getting there for me as a dad wasn't cool because how my kid's brain works. So going from pre-K to kindergarten, they tested him and they said, the teacher told us he's good. He's head of the class, straight, whatever. They didn't even get letters back then, but good. Well, after the test, they said, no, you need to wait one more year. And I was livid. I said, what do you mean we need to wait a year? He's excelling everything. But we sat down with the teacher. She kind of explained all of it to us. Girls mature faster. It's going to be better for you in the long run if you make this decision now. And we did it. And honestly, he has excelled. And you've seen him. You've seen how his brain works. He's a different kid. But when it comes to athletics, it's been great. And so I can definitely see that. It's the same decision being made by different people, maybe different circumstances, just later on, halfway through that journey. And our decision was made for us basically by a test, but now you guys are making that decision at 8th grade. So it makes sense. It's just, some people see it like, oh, this is a trend that's happening. Is it good or is it bad for a kid that's going into 8th grade? So, but I appreciate you, kind of showing us that, the background on it. I definitely want to get some people from those other academies in, and we can have a podcast with them as well, just to learn exactly what they do. So, now
we do.
Go ahead.
We do a lot of work with them. We do a lot of work with LaceFax with Mike Evans and Cam from Real Speed. So we do have an insight on all that stuff and how it works, and not just the holdbacks, but just the training point of it, of the whole thing. You know what I mean? You got a lot of these kids training 2-3 days a week. You know what I mean? When you go out to these fields and you're like, oh, that team's good. That kid's just good. He's just talented. No, that kid's been training, and that, of course, there are those kids that just throw on some cleats and they try out and they're just bad. They're just like the best kid on the field. You're like, oh, that's great. That's awesome. But there are those kids that are just training, and D-Flash is one. I mean, you look at him and you're like, Jesus, he is just training. And that's awesome. You know what I mean?
So is Real Speed, are they also a school?
Yeah, they just, I want to say this was their first year, I believe. I mean, I may be wrong on that, but they do have a school this year. So yeah, they do training and they do schooling.
Okay. So let's switch over to Mariah, who just committed to her school for college. She's a senior, so she'll be graduating 2020, correct?
Yes. This
So
year she'll be graduating.
So she's been in travel softball as well as high school. Why don't you take us a little bit through what's gone on the last couple of years for her? What has she done? Because I know at first she wasn't getting a lot of looks, but you just stuck with your program that you guys were doing and stuck to it. And I know she's an excellent student. And started to get some traction and looks at from different schools. But why don't you take us through that over the past, maybe 2 or 3 years? What have you guys been doing with her to keep her on track and then finally making that commitment within the last month, I think?
Well, do you have about 3 hours of time?
Nope.
Yeah, that's been a long journey. That's a different one. Everybody has a different path when it comes to that, to girls softball. I mean, there is no right way or wrong way. It's just, how did you do it? There is a path that you need to stay on. And that's pretty much what we did. We stayed on that path. She's played with Monarch Softball, Jeff Blanco, his organization. And we stuck with them the whole time. And, there was a lot of like rough roads, and not just with him, but just with the whole, trying to keep an athlete. My daughter gets great grades at school. She's trying to play softball on the weekends. You got a lot of stuff going on. You got 20 girls on a team. They all want to play the same spot. I mean, that's a tough road. And, along the way, we've seen a lot of people come and go, and it was rough, so I don't have any like perfect advice for you, but that's what we did. We took the travel ball road. We did a lot of, Jeff helped us out. He, obviously he does all his work. He's constantly talking to coaches and figuring out where your daughter wants to go. And that's his job. You know what I mean? Where does your daughter want to go? Let's get these schools down on a list. Let's start emailing. And you have to email. I mean, this day and age, you have to be emailing schools. You have to narrow it down to maybe 10 schools and be realistic. You know what I mean? Have a school up here that you're going to try for, but have a school down here as your backup. And that's pretty much what we did. We had about 10 different schools, and we just hit them all. We hit all the combines. You know what I mean? Obviously, she's traveling with the travel team. We're going all over the state, the country, Colorado, Arizona. I mean, we've been through it all.
Sounds expensive.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, not at all. Yeah. That's the other thing. You know what I mean? Trying to pay for everything and trying to meet all the demands of having younger children, having a boy who's playing sports. Obviously my son was on your son's baseball team, and it collided a couple of times, but you know what I mean? I never gave up. I may have hopped on a train a couple of times, but other than that, you got to keep pushing forward. And to me, it's all for the best. You know what I mean? So you just got to pick your road and go. And when it comes to girls softball, your daughter just has to be committed, and she will get seen sooner or later. You know what I mean? You just got to keep hounding, keep emailing coaches. And that's what we did. And finally she got seen through one of her combines. She got noticed. And then, you know what I mean? The coach said, hey, come back for another combine. So we came back, and that turned into, hey, can you come back one more time? And then, you know what I mean? We've already looked at a couple of schools, but UC San Diego called us back and just said, hey, we want her, So, and she loved that school. The very first time we went to that school, she fell in love with it, and so did I. So it was an easy thing for us at that point. Like, yes, we're in,
Yeah, good. So she's excited. She's happy about it, right?
Super happy. But I mean, there's still a lot of work, that goes into it. She still has a whole nother year of travel ball that she has to play.
Right.
I mean, it's not like, hey, we clap, we go home, we don't practice no more. I think, like I explained to her, it's even worse from here. It's even harder now because now something's expected of you. You're going to have a college coach looking at you at one of your games out in Colorado. And you know what I mean? You have to show up. You know what I mean? This doesn't mean that you just walk away and you have fun, you go to college. No, it's tougher.
Yeah. And so I'm glad. I'm very happy for her. She's a great kid, great family, obviously. We know you guys well. And I'm hoping I can get both of you guys on, you and Mariah, especially as we go into this first year of her college journey, just to see how that's going, any advice you can give, that kind of stuff to our audience. So on your screen, I don't know if you can see, I got the video up. This is one of our very first videos we did with you guys of Mariah. So I turned the sound off a little bit, but this was her when Numbers Don't Lie was just beginning. I remember you, your cousin Will, and both your girls coming out, and we shot a couple skills videos. So just kind of shows you where she's at, where she's been, and I'm looking forward to seeing everything in the future. So, but real quick on videos, and I'm going to let this play for a little bit. Why don't you just tell everyone how, and this is just, full disclosure, to help Numbers Don't Lie, how important is videos and skills videos like these and different things? Because I remember you went to that meeting when you first started with the Monarchs and you told me, why don't you tell me what you texted me after that meeting?
I don't remember which one. When was that?
It was you said, hey, there's money to be made here, and not that we haven't made money, but he said these these coaches, they are telling these girls they have to have skills videos. You remember that?
Yeah, no, it's yes, it's not even a question. It is. I mean, without a video, how is anybody going to see you? And that was one of the things that we did, with Mariah, is we did send that. You have to send that video out because they don't know who you are, and they're not going to come see you right off the bat. You email a coach, and you better have something good to show her, or what I mean. Imagine you're a coach and somebody just says, "Hey, I'm the greatest out there." Okay, so how do I see that? You know what I mean? Right. So the skills video is mandatory in girls softball and getting recruited, and also not only that, a good skills video. You know what I mean? Like, you have all the information down there at the bottom. I mean, there's no question who to call. There it is, right there on the screen. You know what I mean? And
right.
That's very important. And you're showing off all her great, her throws, her hitting. You know what I mean? Her fielding. So the skills video it has to be done.
So, kind of just to go into a little more in depth of why Numbers Don't Lie started and where our focus is. A lot of people, when they first see these, they think Numbers Don't Lie is actually a videography service where we come out and do videography, where we don't. We don't do that. We really pride ourselves on using other people's content that they create. We want to give them the guidance to tell them how to capture good content, but then they send us that content in, and then we do the final production of it. But there's a reason why we do that. And one of the big reasons why is, one, logistically, but two, probably the biggest, is the cost. The cost of having a professional videographer, photographer, you do both, of how expensive that can be for our travel time for us to come out there. And that's just going to up the price. And what we want to do is make it as inexpensive as possible. We know there's so many different things in youth sports, costs that are pulling at you and tugging at you. And this is going to be a requirement, is to get these types of skills videos. We want that cost to be as low as possible. So there's ways to do it on your own. There's other people that'll come out and they will video it for you, but their prices are through the roof. So that's one thing we want to kind of make sure our audience knows and people know, that it's costly. It's costly to bring out a professional photographer for 2 hours just to video, and then to organize it and everything. It costs a lot of money. So we're trying to figure out that piece of it as with I know you are, with people sending you photos and things like that. And do you think that's going to be a good service to people in the future, and being able to shoot it on their own and send it over to us?
Yeah, of course. Especially with technology, I always say that the iPhone, you got a great video camera in your phones, and everybody has a phone in their pocket. If you just video this stuff, you know what I mean, it can be chopped up and put into a skills video. You don't need anything, super professional. I mean, when you look at a lot of these skill videos, it's just regular video, and a lot of it is footage from games. You know what I mean? Like, you've done it the whole time. Throw a GoPro on the fence, and yeah, you may be up there for 3 or 4 games, but on that 5th game, she hits a grand slam. There's the footage that you need. Send that to you, and that's part of your footage, So yeah, I think it's a big thing for you. You know what I mean? I mean, if you can get it to where it's very simple for people, that's what it's about. Is making it simple. A platform to just download your video and let me know when it's done.
Yeah, exactly. And what I'm really looking to do, especially through this podcast, I think we're going to be able to get so much content for people as far as best practices go, whether it's photography, capturing their own photos to send to you, videography. And I really want to try to get some college recruiters on the podcast to ask them what do you want to see in that video? So we can make a checklist out of that and send it to our clients and customers, say, here's the exact shots you need, and here's how you do it. It'll take you 15 minutes to go out there, and this is what you need to shoot. And we have some of that now, but I think this podcast, it's going to enable us to get so many professionals. And again, like I mentioned, those that are making a positive impact or have a positive influence, and recruiters, they look at these videos all the time. They know what's going to impact it. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Well, my man, I think we're almost there. We're almost to the end. We went 45 minutes, and I actually think we got some really good content, which I wasn't sure what to expect, but I'm excited to get this show out. I definitely think we got enough content here to make this our official intro first show, talking to a professional photographer, family man, youth sports father. But I think this is going to be really good stuff, and I'm looking forward to moving forward with the podcast. And I appreciate you being on with us today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to getting the feedback, what the people want. What do they want to hear? What topics do they like? Or you know what I mean? That's going to be fun when they start talking to us and letting them know what to talk about. Because there's, like you said, we touched on 4 or 5 things today, but there's so much stuff out there. I mean, we could talk for hours and hours and hours, dude.
And we will.
we will. Yeah,
eventually, I can see this doubling as a YouTube show as well as our podcast with the audio. But again, I think we got a ton of good content today. Before we go, though, why don't you tell everyone where they can find out more about you, what you do, how to get in contact with you. Where's the best places to find you at?
On the football field every weekend. No, but you can go to my Instagram is like my main page right now. Obviously, I have Facebook and I have Twitter and all that, but Instagram is where I'm at 24 hours a day. And that's designs.by.dm. You can send me a message on there anytime. I may get back to you in a couple of hours or something, you know what I mean? But that's the best place to get a hold of me for right now. And there's a lot of stuff on there that you can, get an idea of my photography, my edit styles. If you scroll down, there's so many different magazine covers. And
all right, you got anything else you want to add?
No, I'm good, man. Let's wrap it up and let's get out there and shoot some more video and pictures and get ready for our next podcast.
Awesome. All right, my man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, Peace. Bro. See ya.
See ya. Be great.
Yes, sir. Hey, how do I turn this off?
I don't know. I'm turning it off right now. That's a good outtake,
all right, bro.
Well, NDL Nation, we made it through show number 1. Thank you so much for being part of this journey with us. We've got some exciting stuff headed your way. We ask that today you please rate, review, comment on, and subscribe on whatever platform you're on. That'll help us so much. Let us know what you thought about the show. Any and all feedback is welcome. We want this to be the best show possible for you, our audience. Be sure to join us over on social media at Numbers Don't Lie. That's at Numbers Don't L1E. Until our next episode, go out and win the day and never miss your opportunity to be great. Thanks for listening to Highlighting the Best of Youth Sports at www.numbersdon'tlie.biz.